So London, I went into the Westfield Centre in my kit, got mobbed, and the security had to come and get me out because there was like hundreds of people wanting to take pictures and selfies. And you actually felt like a superstar. And
You're an older athlete now. How has that training changed?
I never thought I'd enjoy yoga so much as I do. It's not often that you get a one-on-one moment with the Queen. Like on my Instagram, like I said, I got the call of nature. She comes around the other corner and walks towards me, and I was like, well, I don't know what to do. So I just stood there and thought, oh, hopefully she'll just pass by, because at this point I really need to go to the toilet. I think my advice again to younger athletes is really, really celebrate the wins when they happen. I think I was very naive to just go in, right, done the Paralympic Games, onto the next 4-year cycle. And I think nowadays, I think it's vitally important because you just don't know what's around the corner.
Welcome to the England Athletics Podcast. It's the Ready, Set, Glasgow series inspired by the Commonwealth Games, and what better location really. The Alexander Stadium, hosted the last edition. Can't believe it was 4 years ago now, but yeah, what a summer we have to look forward to, and great to do it in the company of Dan Pembroke, of course twice Paralympic javelin champion and F13 world record holder. Great to have you with us, and great to be talking about throwing in this episode.
It's my favourite topic, and we've got a legend amongst us as well, so it's going to be really interesting to hear what he has to say.
I thought it might be. So yeah, my name's Alex Seftel. I'm an athletics commentator. We've sort of christened ourselves as the two eggheads briefly, as a bit of our dynamic duo. But
we
joining
look a bit
us,
similar, don't we?
We'll let people draw their own conclusions. So grateful to be joined by Dan Greaves, Discus Dan. Thanks for coming along, and plenty to get stuck into.
Oh yeah, pleasure. Thanks for having me. I think more people know me as Discus Dan than actually know my surname. So,
which is quite handy, I think, to give yourself a bit of a platform as the guy. Oh yeah, Discus Dan.
Do you ever have somebody introduce you as Discus Dan and they go, so what sport does he do?
Yeah. Most people say, oh, Discus Dan, and they do the shot put action. I'm like, no, it's the Frisbee one.
Not talking to you.
Yeah. You need quite a lot of space to be able to do it, because I'm often one that I'm doing a sort of stretch and I'll elbow someone who's just walking past.
Yeah,
so just need to be careful there.
Oh, I know.
But interestingly, you have met the Queen, Her Majesty the Queen. We'll start with that, because she recognised Discus straight away.
Yeah, it's not often that you get a one-on-one moment with the Queen. Like on my Instagram, like I said, I got the call of nature. Like after Rio 2016, we all go to the palace and have a celebration. And of course, nature calls, and I'm walking quickly down the hallway, and then she comes around the other corner and walks towards me, and I was like, well, I don't know what to do. So I just stood there and thought, oh, hopefully she'll just pass by, because at this point I really need to go to the toilet. But we stood there and had a conversation, and I showed her my medal, and she knew quite a lot about discus and knew that it was an ancient Greek sport in the Olympics. And I think like just her knowledge and everything about, in that instant, I could have been anybody from any sport, and she just knew a specific thing around it. It was mind-blowing.
Yeah, fascinating skill, isn't it? And then you have met His Majesty the King.
I have indeed, yeah, on 2 occasions now, which has been incredible. And just being in the palace as well is phenomenal, isn't it? So regal experience, and the formalities that you have to go through, and yeah, it's quite surreal.
Yes, fascinating that we're completing the royal set between the two Dans. Didn't think I'd be saying that. Well, what an incredible career you've had. Paralympic, world, European, Commonwealth champion. Where do you start, really? How do you look back on your legacy that is still ever growing?
I guess like sometimes you have to start at the beginning. I think all of my success and everything that has evolved over the years, it wouldn't be possible without my PE teacher, which first kind of a story in itself introduced me into discus throwing, and we had it as an after kind of school sports day kind of preparation. We had the field out the side, the back of the school, and the field was only 30 metres long. There's this fence. We're all practicing, and mine hit the fence, and then subsequently my next throw went over the fence, and he was like, Greaves in my office, and I thought, oh God, he's going to tell me off because I've lost the discus in the next field. But actually sat me down and said, look, you could be really good discus thrower. He was, again, a rugby boy, cauliflower ears, like bald hair, like not saying,
What's wrong with that, Dan?
Bold looks intimidating, but, the typical rugby guy, but also threw the hammer, so he knew a bit about throwing. So for somebody that I kind of looked up to and saw as a great teacher, for them to give me that kind of praise and subsequently some, go to an athletics club and progress, like it really helped me. And I think without that insight and without that kind of persuasion to go and pursue something, then I might not have had the career that I've had, and that's how the ball started rolling, really.
Crazy how just one little thing can happen. You know what I mean? That moment, you may have skived off of school that day. You know what I mean? And never ever picked up the discus before. It would have been too late if you'd have done it the next year. Maybe something else had taken your fancy. So just one of those small little moments that you can get yourself into. And that's, I think, probably the importance of trying new sports, right? For a young athlete to just try out and see what they like and see what takes them.
Yeah. And it was one of those where I didn't know whether I was going to be, I was good at rugby and swimming and football, but athletics, I'd never really tried it. Like with my disability, I was rubbish at running, like hated it. So throwing kind of just came naturally, and none of the other kids could really fly the discus properly, but I kept popping it out there, and I thought I was going to get told off, and I was in a bit of state of shock when he actually gave me a praise and things like that. And like you say, it was really not a nice moment that then I look back on now thinking, had I not had that moment, or that person really, obviously as well as my parents supporting me, I wouldn't have probably maybe had the career that I've had.
And those people are real unsung heroes, aren't they? People that have had those conversations. It's no surprise that you hear athletes say something very similar to that time and again.
Yeah, 100%. They're the ones that I think, the people behind the scenes like that and the stories that you hear, volunteers and coaches and people that are making it happen at a young age are the ones that really deserve the accolades. Because had that person not got into running or swimming or football or anything like that at a young age and developed that passion and that drive and that sense of worth, then things might not happen in the future and people's directions might veer off a different path.
I'm interested to hear, because you said you were quite passionate about rugby at one point. So what was the decision that you made then to focus on throwing? Because there's quite a big pull, as we know, towards rugby. So it's great to hear that you said, I'm going to do discus.
Yeah, I mean, I think personally I quite like the praise of being an individual rather than a team sport. Some people, I love team sports. I've got loads of friends. Like the rugby community was so close knit. We went on tours together. Probably a bit too young to do all the drinking games, but like for me, there was a real community in the rugby, and I was okay. I just missed out on trials for Leicester Tigers when I was kind of 14, 15, and I think that was kind of like the christening to know, do you know what? Like I can do it as a pastime and a hobby, and I really enjoy playing it, and I still carried on for a bit. But athletics, when I won the county championships under 15s in the Midlands, I was like, oh, okay, it feels quite nice to get that moment for just me and not the other guys around me, because like obviously as a team you win and lose as a team, but also it happens individually. And I think that was one thing that really sparked my motivation to compete.
It's interesting with discus, when you watch it kind of throw by throw, it's kind of pure sport, and you watch the athletes step into the circle. You're going to try and look confident, and then sometimes the athlete's almost like that Daniel Stoll does. He sort of almost juggles the discus, making sure that he's kind of to grips with it. And then it's like the circle is his stage, and this is his performance. And I like that because it gives something special to that individual moment, of which often you may get 3 of, or you may get 6 of, and that seems so small in a way to try and make that count. You want to try and make that into a stage. Is that how you feel?
Yeah, we're all performers, right? People come and pay to watch us perform. We love doing it personally. Like, if a stadium was empty, I'd still perform, and try and want to throw as far as I can. But we're all performers on the Paralympic or world or European stage, or the Commonwealths in Glasgow. For me, it was phenomenal to see that support, and I fully got into jeering the crowd up. I know Dan is a massive fan of getting all the crowd clapping and going and unleashing some mighty yells when he throws. But that's what makes us tick, right? Like we vibe off the energy that the crowd gives us to go and perform, and it's kind of like a reciprocal value. Like we need that. We need those like cheers and everything, but also like it's nice to then know you're giving it back, and the people who are paying the money to watch you are actually really excited about watching you. You know, the platforms are there from the Paralympics just to simply look at how do we emphasise getting off like bums on seats for championships. And that's where I really love to see Paralympic sport go. I'd love to see in the future where we're able to utilise the stars of today, because there's lots of stars, and Paralympic sport is growing with athletes, but it's not growing with bums on seats. And for me, it's a huge topic, because like I want to see Paralympic sport like it was, you know, at the Paralympic Games week in, week out, or the Commonwealth Games, and being integrated in big championships. The British champs are really good at integrating. I'd love to see, I did an expedition of a discus competition in 2016 in Amsterdam in the European Championships, able-bodied. It was brilliant. There was loads of people coming to watch.
TJ, I was watching the World Indoor Championships in Birmingham here in 2018, and so it was high jump or long jump, and the announcer would say, this athlete wants your applause, wants the noise, this athlete wants complete silence. So that difference was very interesting. Okay, yes, it was indoors, a little bit of a different environment, but it was interesting that some athletes did want no noise at all from the crowd.
Yeah, I think it like Olivia Breen, for instance, in the long jump, she likes complete silence, which in long jump normally, you know, they get the clap going, they work to a rhythm, and that's absolutely, I think it's personal preference, isn't it? Some people will like to focus purely on what they've got to, you know, their technique, their cues, and maybe misfocus a little bit if they feel like they're engaging into the crowd and they're kind of switching off, because sometimes you can let the occasion get to you. And I've known a lot of athletes that have maybe crumbled because they've enjoyed the occasion too much rather than use it for what it's worth and use it
emotionally
energy.
sapping.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think the whole thing is, though, isn't it? You know, I don't know any Olympian who's gone into a games and then come out the other side being exactly the same person. I think it does change you into a certain extent of like that self-reflection of like what it means to you. And I think no matter if you perform well or you perform badly, it's going to have an impact on you because you're competing on a world stage, you know. And I think, like for me personally, you know, I performed out of my skin in Paris, and then I felt the worst I've ever felt after that point, you know. So
why was that then?
I think
come down.
Yeah, I think it's just the come down, the regulation, you know, of what makes you tick, and then what's made me realise is the actual journey getting to that goal was the most enjoyable part for me. I'm just wondering for you, Dan, like, you know, going through so many championships, have you come to that realisation, or has it been different for you, or, you know, have you had to kind of like reassess in your career what the sport means to you, or has it stayed the same all the way through?
I think it's always meant like the same ethics and ethos in my mind is always the same. Like at the start, I guess it's changed a little bit because at the start I was a bit naive I just thought I kind of went on an 8-year unbeaten run and I was living it and everything. And then when you get beaten, it's a bit of a sucker punch, right? And it either makes you or breaks you, because, and I you know, put my hand up to where I thought I was invincible, 8 years unbeaten. I was like, oh, this is brilliant. And then Beijing happened, and it does change your perspective. Like it changes everything that you kind of work for. You just think everything that you're doing, like training and everything else, is fine. But then when you get beaten, it's like, oh, well, was it fine? Did I do enough? Like, did I really turn up when it mattered? Or like, could we have done something different in training? And so I think from Beijing onwards, it was more calculated. We kind of still enjoyed the moment and enjoyed competing, and I'll always enjoy competing, but I think the training element and everything else, we left no stone unturned because we didn't really want to feel that sucker punch feeling again. And for me, that was a turning point in how we process training and how we approach competitions. And I went from then throwing 53 meters in in Beijing and just having a terrible comp and a terrible time, because it was the first time I'd thrown in front of 90,000 Chinese people, and the noise was just like so loud, it was obscenely loud, to then going to London, which was a completely different games with 80,000 people and home fans, and throwing 59 meters and just missing out on a gold medal. But the two contrasts in the journey that I'd been on in my career was just night and day. Like at that point in Beijing, I was really questioning myself, and then at the end point in kind of London over those 4 years, I was like absolutely loving it, ready to propel my career again. And yeah, like, so there's ebbs and flows, isn't there? And I think for every athlete, you have to be very adaptable to your situation. And that's, I guess, like my advice to younger athletes is sometimes things go your way, sometimes it doesn't, but you should always keep at heart what it really means to you, which is, you know, the competition, the training, the friendship, everything along that journey.
So it's those sort of, I mean, my dad always told me it's the bad times that make the good times good, and it rings true every single time, you know. Like when you're having a bad time, like for me after Paris, I'd perform well, and then I'm feeling the worst I ever felt just because I felt lost because I didn't have the goal that I'm striving for, you know, or I felt self-fulfilled. But I think for you there in Beijing, that was like a turning point of thinking, oh, I'm not invincible. I need to really like be on top of my game all the time, and this will make me feel happy. And again, I think that's the same. It's the journey, isn't it? You're taking care of that journey and making sure that you're doing everything that you possibly can to secure your place and to perform well. And you came out in 2012 and done exactly that. And I think that must have been an incredible performance to do that in front of a home crowd and know that you've done everything that you could do to throw your furthest.
I mean, after round 3, I'd thrown 59 metres and went to the toilet, and it was the best way I've ever had until I came back out and saw that Jeremy had thrown 60.
Wow.
And I was like, damn it.
But what a competition to be in, though, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The standard of your performance, you know, and your sport had risen.
See, and that's like...
thanks to you.
Yeah, oh, thanks. But for me, I think like 2012... Like every athlete I've spoken to, 2012 elevated their personal performance. Like you didn't need to bring your A game because you just went there. It wasn't like I had a hernia injury, so I'd only, in that 4 weeks or 5 weeks, only picked the discus up 3 times. So I was well unprepared, and I broke the Paralympic record twice in the first 3 throws. I don't ask me how I did it, but I did it. But that's where it can take you to. And I said in my interview afterwards, I was like, I'm carrying an injury, but this shows you what it means to every athlete is it can just take you to places that you just shouldn't be at, which for me was like 59 metres. Like I think I barely got over 50 metres when we were out in the prep camp in Portugal, and I was just in too much pain to really apply myself. And in that moment, that is just showing what atmosphere and encouragement and just being in that moment and trusting yourself can do, and it can really take you to that extra level.
So when we're looking towards Commonwealth Games now, and you know, you're going to have a crowd there that's going to be supporting you, you know, so close to home being in Glasgow. I mean, you got old feelings coming back there, right?
Yeah. 2014. Apart from having to get up at 5:30 in the morning because we were on at 9:30, which, let me just say now, no athlete wants to get up at that time. All compete at 9:30 in the morning. But it was hands down probably London 2012 and Glasgow 2014 was like both of my fondest memories, because I think as I was very, very jealous of people that have been to Commonwealth Games in the past in Delhi and in Melbourne. And even back in Manchester in 2002, there was only a select amount of Paralympic events. And I still feel very, very privileged that I've got a third bite of the cherry to go to a Commonwealth Games and represent England. And it's completely different gravy to going to a multi-games and representing Great Britain. It's just, I'm so passionate to be English. And Glasgow in 2014 was just, it was so good. And to be included with like everybody just all together and all as Team England was just amazing. And I knew it was going to be hard against Al on the kind of the point system, but again, yeah, like the crowd, I almost felt a little bit Scottish because the crowd were just getting behind us, which they probably won't admit to, supporting an Englishman, but it was amazing. Like, and I really, again, there's videos of me really jeering the crowd up and stuff, and I needed that because I wanted it so badly. I wanted to hear Jerusalem on the podium, like it's the first. I've been fortunate enough in my time to hear "God Save the Queen," but I really wanted to hear Jerusalem. I really wanted to represent England and have that moment as an Englishman wearing the lion and being on the podium, but top dog, because I'd have thought, well, this is probably my only chance, because they changed the events around in the past. So I thought I might not get another chance. So that was very, and to be going back there, different stadium, but the same vibe is going to be amazing.
Well, one of the ways in which you've changed throughout your career is, of course, you become a dad, and it's obviously something that you have experience of as well. So it'd be brilliant to hear actually from both of you, just how you've adapted to that in your career. You know, has it altered the times that you can train and when you can train?
I think like when the baby first comes along,
chaos.
Yeah, it's chaos. Yeah, you're right. Like I felt very, very conscious of, and almost that I was being selfish by leaving the house and going training, because I wanted to be with Amanda. I wanted to help out, do everything I could to support her. But also she kept reminding me, no, Dan, like it's your job to go training. Like I want you to go. But as athletes, we're very time rich. So I had lots and lots of time where I'd go training, come back for lunch, help out. Maybe she'd have a nap, look after Henry, then go back to the gym, sort that out. And I don't know how you find it, like with the scheduling and stuff, but I think we worked out a routine for the baby and also a routine for ourselves. And it was very important that we kind of got that right the first time round. A little bit trickier with the second one. Trickier with the second one.
Double trouble.
Because then you've got like, we had 2 under 2, so Henry had just turned 2 when Matilda came along, so completely different vibe, like him running around causing chaos and being a cheeky chappy, and then looking after another baby as well, and again the same feelings coming back, but we kind of knew how to orchestrate it, but it was just a completely different vibe. And for me, the sleepless nights are just a killer. Like, I'll be totally honest, like trying to be at this level and trying to still be the same person you were before kids was I found very, very hard afterwards. You have to change. Yeah. And at first I kind of was like, no, I can do this. We prepared for Worlds in 2017 when Henry was up to, I think he was 6 months old.
I find incredible that you were doing this, preparing for World Championships. You got 6-month-old,
you
when
can't
you're going.
sit a small child on the outside throwing circle.
And just missed out of a medal. I fought so hard for Henry to get a medal when he was there, and it was back in the London Stadium, and it's just one of those things, like we just wasn't our day, and it just happens. But again, another, like we're talking turning points, just having him in the crowd just elevated everything that I wanted to achieve. And like to this day, my career from when he was born in 2017 right through to now, everything is done for them.
So your eldest is around 9, was it? 2017 you were mentioning?
9.5. Yeah.
What do you think he would say about, kind of his dad being a thrower? What would he make of it? What was he say about it?
You're not a footballer, so it doesn't count. That's what he'd say.
Brutal.
Brutal, yeah.
I mean, there was a footballer who, I think he was in the relegation zone, or he got relegated, and the child's friends at school were teasing him that Daddy's been relegated. So it shows your children could be a bit cruel sometimes.
Oh yeah, and that's one good thing. As they get older, Dan will find this, they keep you in check. Like
ego starts to inflate too much. They'll bring you down a peg.
Henry, I've forgotten when it was. It was a few weeks ago now. I was like, why are you tired, Daddy? You only spin around in a circle and throw a discus. I was like, absolutely, mate. Yeah, I'm not tired. Come on, we can go and play football outside. You're right. Yeah.
You can't argue with that.
You're absolutely right, yeah. And that's a good side, is they humble you into thinking logically like them, and like see through all the mist and all the rubbish that comes your way. Sometimes you're like, cool, yeah, all right, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and you think of that like we're talking about kids here, right? But ultimately, that's a distraction away from sport, and how that's positively impacted your career. Now, I think it's kind of important for other athletes to have those things away from the track and interests. And we spoke with athletes so far, and they're the best of the best athletes, and they all have these kind of things that kind of like ground them, or distract them. They're positive distractions away from the high pressures of sport. So I think that's a really good thing to take on board, for athletes that are getting into the sport, to also have interests outside. It's not just solely focused on this tunnel pipe dream.
Dan Greaves is with us, discus Dan. Now, Aston Villa, another one of the things that you're into, and recently, of course, lifting a European trophy, a fantastic moment for them.
I know, yeah. A long time coming. I was born in 1982, the last time we lifted a European trophy. Obviously,
Hell of a year.
A bit too young to see the parade and things. Yeah, hell of a year. But these last 4 or 5 years under Unai Emery have just been obscenely good, and seeing Champions League football last year and like the Europa League this year, and then finally winning it. It's kind of his trophy. He's won it 5 times now, but yeah, we get mocked a lot for not having won anything for the last 30 years, but finally we have something in the trophy cabinet that we can celebrate, and yeah, it feels good. Yeah, after all these seasons of being a season ticket holder and having empty dreams of Champions League and Europa League, if we finally got something to parade, which was great.
So yes, if they need any advice on how to keep a trophy or medal cabinet, they can only go to you. As you were, I think, the first British track and field athlete to win medals at 6 Paralympic Games, which is a fantastic stat. I don't know whether you're at the point in your career where you're sort of looking back at these things, or you're still focused on what you can achieve in the future.
No, I obviously wanted to make it 7 in Paris, but that didn't happen. But yeah, it isn't until I got told that stat in Tokyo, and I don't know how you feel, Dan, but like as athletes, I think my advice again to younger athletes is like really, really celebrate the wins when they happen. I think I was very naive to just go in, right, done the Paralympic Games, on to the next 4-year cycle, done the Paralympic Games, on to the next 4 years. Yes, I've medalled each time, which is like fantastic, and that's my aim, but what about if I got really, really injured in that time, or, things, and I didn't really know the worth, where now, after 6 Paralympic Games, I know each individual worth of those medals far greater than I did at the time. At the time, I was like, I was just, obviously buoyant with pride and kind of and loved the moment and everything, but really didn't kind of amplify the enormity of what I had achieved at that moment in time and celebrated it enough, I don't think. And I think nowadays, I think it's vitally important, because you just don't know what's around the corner. Like, touch wood, I've got number 9 in me in LA, but like, I'm taking year by year. I'm not counting my chickens. I want to be the best athlete I can do, and I fully appreciate, like, I'm the more elder statesman of the team, so it's getting tougher and tougher to fight off old age and still be a top level athlete. But yeah, I think for me, looking back at my career, each year I kind of not took for granted, but I use it as motivation for the next year's cycle, rather than really fully appreciating what I've achieved. And that's my biggest advice, I think, to athletes is know your worth, but also just like celebrate the wins, like, right, really go hard on that and use it for your future, because you just don't know what's around the corner. I've seen so many top level athletes like plan for 8 years in advance, going, I'm going to do this, and then the next year blow up with an injury, and then they're having to find jobs, and it's brutal.
I'm interested to know how far the two of you go back in terms of being on teams together, and what the dynamic is like within that camp, and whether you think it might be different compared to other championships.
Yeah, well, I first ran into Dan. That's not a blind joke.
Literally. as I was on the runway, I was in the wrong area.
Same thing.
I was in the wrong area. Running towards
He's a big guy to run into. Yeah, but no, so it was Bydgoszcz. It was the European Championships, the only European Championships I've been in, because unfortunately it just keeps on getting cancelled. But yeah, I was an able-bodied athlete prior to that, and sort of came out of the sport in 2013. And so, yeah, after COVID happened, that's when my reintroduction into athletics was again. And, I was like unconditioned, and I was being thrown into the European Championships. And on my first competition, I went and Dan was there, and I was like, this guy looks like he knows what he's doing. So I went up to him and was like, what do I do? How do I compete again? Because it had been sort of 7 or 8 years since I last competed. So having Dan there and an experienced person on the team really, it was my first experience of being grounded in a competition. And I thought, oh, right, okay, he seems pretty chilled, and I would just do the same. And there I threw the European record in my first international competition. And it was then that I was like, oh yeah, this is quite amazing. And just to be chill and be happy doing what you're doing, I think was the main thing that I got out of Dan. And it's what he kind of really puts into the sport. You can tell that he's enjoying every single process that he's going through. It taught me to enjoy what I'm doing and make sure I'm having fun doing it.
In something like the throws events, though, you might be more likely to get access to Dan to see his process up close compared to someone who is a megastar who's got a whole, bodyguards around them. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You might find that in a
this
throws
guy doesn't need a bodyguard. Look at him.
He is the bodyguard.
I'm blushing now, Dan. Come on, let's not go there.
Yeah. After Paris, I felt like I told you before, quite low, and that was just because my journey had seemed to have stopped because I'd reached everything I wanted to reach, and I'm sure you felt this before, Dan. Potentially after major championships, this games blues that people talk about, and when people mentioned that to me, I was like, "What do you mean games blues? You're going to an Olympic Games or a World Championships. You should feel privileged and just really happy, no matter what the cost, or what the result of your competition was." But it's a weird kind of like numb feeling. Did you find that?
To a point, yes. Like mainly after London, because I didn't want it to end. And then when it did end, you went from... So London, you went the first time ever in the Paralympics where you felt like... I went into the Westfield Centre in my kit, which I didn't know was a thing. Went into Boots just to go and get some toiletries and stuff because we were out in Portugal beforehand and I'd run out loads of stuff there. So I was like, I just nipped to Boots. Got mobbed and the security had to come and get me out because there was like hundreds of people wanting to take pictures and selfies, and I was like, oh, okay, this is different. And you actually felt like a superstar. And you then they put a blanket. Okay, if you want to go to the Westfield Centre or go to the friends and family bit, which was in the Westfield Centre, you have to go in like civvy clothes and just hide your thing because they were just on the hunt all the time. When there's 80,000 people that weren't in the stadium, they're milling around the malls. And at that point, for that 10 days of the championships, it was obscene. Like you just could not go anywhere in GB kit. You couldn't, you'd just be mobbed. And it was nice because it was just completely different, and you felt like a superstar. And yeah, obviously competing was amazing, but all of the media attention, everything else. And then when that stops, and then you go to Tesco. And you go and do your Aldi or go and do your weekly shop and stuff, and you're like, oh, where's the selfies? Like, where's the people hounding you? And it stops, and then that kind of whole feeling of, the games time environment. You're in this massive bubble that's just hyped up, and because you're building up to this competition, and you're in the athlete village with everybody, and you're vibing off their competitions and everything else. It builds up to a point where then when it finishes, people do get a little bit depressed, and it's real because they go from this unreal life, which it's not real because you don't have to pay for anything. You're in the stadium, you get access to free drink, free food, all this other stuff that is all false, and then they go to reality. And I think if it's even worse if you've had a bad performance and you've underperformed at championships, and then all of that stops. And it only hit home after London, really, for me. And then you just don't know what to do with yourself. You're like, well, okay, it's off season. Like, what do I do? Like, I'm used to training every day. I've got something to work to, and that's where again we bring it back to hobbies or lifestyle or friends and things to do, and things outside of sport are so critical at those point in times. I think more so than when you're training because you haven't got any aims, you haven't got any targets, you haven't got anything really to do apart from. So maybe some media work to the side after a champs if you've done really well. But if you've not done very well, you can almost feel a bit outcasted and you haven't got that support network of friends being close knit like they were in the village, and the whole team just is gone. So you almost feel, especially if I lived on my own after 2012, and I was like, right, let's go. I want to go play golf now, or I'll go and see you. And I'm just trying to fill my days with stuff. And even though I did quite well, and like we were just kind of on edge all the time of things to do because of that point. It was so intense. And that's the only kind of really time I felt like the kind of post games blues.
So we like to pass a question from one podcast to the next. And during this series, Scott Beattie, international cross-country runner, asking the question, tell me about somewhere you've been to compete where it's been great to enjoy the surrounding area afterwards. There could be multiple sort of facets to this. I've been to the Halle Throws meeting near Leipzig in Germany, where they put in a massive sort of spread of sandwiches and burgers and hot dogs and all sorts right after the meeting. And I'm sure that is greatly appreciated by some of the throwers.
Yeah. For me, personally, going to a competition and the whole kind of like it's hard as athletes. We get to see, sometimes you get to see a hotel, a bus, a road and a track and vice versa, and then you get like maybe 1 or 2 days to explore. But 2011 we went to New Zealand. I've always wanted to go. I went to Auckland and then competition in Christchurch, and I was on early, so I got pretty much like 5 or 6 days to explore, and just an absolute gem. Like, absolutely love New Zealand. Like, the people so welcoming, the whole place was just phenomenal. And we got to go out towards where Mordor was filmed in Lord of the Rings and do all that. Went on like an 8-hour in total expedition on like a 6-wheeled off-road truck, but it was just beautiful. Like,
yeah, I spent time out there. I was travelling there for over a year, and fishermen's galore out there. So I was fishing pretty much every day.
It was weird how we could go from a beach setting where it's nice and warm, and then you travel 2 hours inland and you need coats and jumpers and everything, and then there's kind of like almost like glacier rivers running underneath you, and you can see the mountains in the distance, and it's like mind blowing. It's like, hold on a minute, like it was tropical at the beach like an hour and a half away. How has this changed to being so like kind of...
You're talking about Taranaki, aren't you? I think
I'm not. It was where they mainly filmed most of the Lord of the Rings, the Two Towers, I think, maybe.
Yeah, the Taronga is the area where it is kind of.
But like
we got the Hobbit land.
Yeah, we stopped off on the way, and it was obscenely beautiful, and it's hands down like one of my favourite places to visit as well. Like, and we don't get much time to visit places when we compete, so to see the kind of local culture is just unreal.
Something you'd like to know from other athletes, a question that you would set, could be anything at all.
I might go for the post-comp bit, their post-comp cheat meal. Like, what's their thoughts? Because we've all been there, right? As soon as competition stops, there's no more kind of, I mean, throwers don't really fast, but there's no more kind of leanness to our exploitations. We can really go for it. So
the next athlete is going to know that that's come from a thrower, aren't they?
Brilliant. Well, Dan, it's been great to hear about your dabbles in rugby and yoga and your sleepless nights and early starts to the competition, and just the incredible legacy that you have all the way back over the years at the Paralympic Games, and 6 medals is absolutely incredible. And you're one of a very small group of British athletes who has won European, World, Commonwealth and Paralympic / or Olympic. You know, there's such a small category of those. I think it's great that you deserve a place of recognition among all those who have got those titles at different competitions. So it's been great to chat to you.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, it's been a pleasure, guys. Thanks.
Great job, you Dad.